And a good Sunday morning, May 28th, 2023, Memorial Day weekend. We are live here in Long Beach, California at Long Beach City College as we bring you day 2 of our third NVA event of the 2023 season. I'm Ira Thor, joined alongside Nick England and Matt Prosser. Noah Chass has the weekend off. Haley Henderson, she's on the other side of the camera. 4 matches on tap for you today, and one marquee matchup which we'll talk about in our third of 4 matches today. That's New Jersey and Texas. But let's start with our first one. They're warming up for this one right now, and it is the LA Blaze, their first action of the weekend as they take on a Utah Stinger squad that the youth movement is real in Utah. Blaze coming in at 0-4 on the year, 3rd place in the National Central. The Utah Stingers, they are now 4-1, 10 points, yet 2nd place in the American Central. You know, this little team called the San Diego Wild seems to be above them right now in the standings. Nick, LA Blaze right now, they have added a couple pieces for the weekend, but so far this year, it's been Charles Belvin or bust. He's been in double figures in kills in all 4 matches, yet they can't find the win column.
Yeah, it's been a tough one. I mean, overall, this team rebuilt quite a bit from where they were last year. I think some of the highlights we're going to be looking towards is Chase Dorito in the middle, as well as Daniel Matheny. If they can get that middle blocker duo going early, I think that they're going to be in a solid spot. They've got a lot of good pieces, but again, we've seen so many of those teams right now that are kind of in those 1 or 2 loss columns. Where they really struggle is they're playing points out. They're struggling to terminate in critical moments, and that's where those top half teams, they're not. And so I think that's one of those things that they're going to have a really hard time today when they look across the net. They're going to be playing some very long rallies against some very athletic guys, so they've got to find a way to control the ball and terminate on their own.
Meanwhile, for the Utah Stingers, and we saw this yesterday, some impressive debuts. The one that stood out to me was Shane Holloway. He was our man of the match for the Utah Stingers, 7 blocks, 7 kills. He wasn't the only one. Ian Eschenberg had 12 kills, 3 aces in his debut. And the Coburn brothers, Sam and Kevin, continued to produce. Kevin had 16 kills and 3 aces in a win against the Matadors that, quite frankly, Inland Empire had that match won, and Utah stole from them later.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, when you have opportunities to close out a match like the Matadors did yesterday, you can't miss that opportunity. Meanwhile, for the Stingers, we've been talking about this youth movement, right? Without Anovo Romero or George Mencia this weekend, the younger, newer comers to the team have really stepped up. Obviously, Shane did a great job on the block and defensive side of things yesterday. The Coburn brothers on offense. You know, a new look team for the Stingers, but really starting to kind of present themselves as that younger version of the Utah Stingers that have always been so prevalent.
Yeah, Stingers are certainly well in the title picture this year with the youth movement and the bringing in of some great NCAA talent fresh off the conclusion of their careers. That's our first match of the day, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. Second match of the day, this is a bit of a toss-up for some, but for me, the Chicago Untouchables against the Puerto Rico Pythons. The Untouchables right now, you could say maybe with the, all due respect to Inland Empire Matadors, the Untouchables are the most improved club in the NVA this year. Yeah, I mean, for me, Chicago right now, Josh Blair at the start of the year was the X factor, but they have other pieces. And yesterday we saw Andrew Kohut with 17 kills leading the way. I don't know, this is one that maybe Puerto Rico can steal today, but I didn't like what I saw yesterday out of the Pythons.
Yeah, it's good. It could be a toss-up for sure. Unfortunately for the Pythons, they just don't have the manpower. They've got 8 guys on their roster this weekend. 1 guy coming off the bench is a backup setter that can still play a little outside hitter. You know, I do expect them to play better than they played last night, getting kind of swept pretty handily by the Ramblers. It's a good gut check for the Pythons to see if they're able to respond on some short rest. But yeah, the Untouchables played a great match. Again, very physical, very fast through the middle. And I don't know if the Pythons will be able to slow them down.
And the Untouchables coming in at 2-3 on the year, 6 points. They're in 2nd place in the National Central. Pythons, one of 2 teams along with the LA Blaze looking for their first win of the year. As the Pythons 0-5, just 1 point. That was the 5-setter in their debut against the OC Stunners. They lost in 5 and picked up 1 point. I'll say this for the Pythons, though. 11 kills from Jair Santiago in the loss to Vegas yesterday. The problem is it can't be just him. There was nobody else who really contributed yesterday. All right, our third match of the day, and this is the one that if you were going to circle one this weekend, this is the one. New Jersey Freedom, Texas Tyrants. They met last year in the NVA's 3rd place match. New Jersey has only lost once in the regular season in the last 2 years. The Tyrants have only lost once in the regular season in the last 2 seasons. So this is a battle of the behemoths today. New Jersey 3-1, 11 points on the year. They are in first place in the National Coastal. Texas Tyrants, they are 4-0 on the year, 12 points, first place in the National Central. The one thing they both have in common, they're only lost in the regular season the last 2 years. The Las Vegas Ramblers, who continue to roll. I'll start with you with New Jersey here. They're missing some pieces this week. They don't have Ian Cap. They don't have Matt Elias. Enter Derek Sullivan, former All-Star for the Southern Exposure out of Orlando. He's replacing Matt Elias here. John Cunningham has been on the roster for a few years. He's replacing Sam Schuldenberg. How does New Jersey make up for that loss? They're moving Jared Ray to the outside. Ray's been a 2-time man of the match.
I mean, at the end of the day, we've seen Jared Ray be kind of up there with Josh Blair in terms of breakout athlete of the year. Newcomer that, at 6'7", he's massive. We've seen him hitting over blockers that are very, very large. It's one of those things that he adds a certain level of physicality. So long as he's not exploited by the serving pressure of the Tyrants, I think he adds arguably more firepower than Ian Cap. I think Ian Cap all around is going to hurt to be missing that player. But in terms of the offensive side of the ball, I don't think there's going to be any drop off there. Also, Joe Norman back on the right side. Right. And again, the middle there looks very good in that matchup with Tyrants. But I look up on the side of the Tyrants, the serving pressure from Ryan Mather, the serving pressure from Austin Matautia, there is just way, way too much pressure from the service line that if Jared Ray is not ready to pass, I think this could be an exploited hole very quickly. So this is really going to be a give and take who executes on their game plan.
This is where they're really going to miss Cap today, not only in the service game, but also in the serve-receive game.
Yeah.
That's just an X factor that you can't make up regardless of who you fill in with Ian Cap. Meanwhile, on the side of the Texas Tyrants, they continue to roll, but they really haven't been challenged this year. Their last time out, 3-1 win over the Philadelphia Founders, 3-0 win over the Puerto Rico Pythons. Yeah. The Chicago Untouchables couldn't touch them in the first match of the year. LA Blaze took them to 4, but again, haven't really been challenged. Ryan Mather, it's been really everybody. They've had 4 different man of the matches this year, but Mather, of course, their go-to guy along with Jake Langlois.
Definitely be their first biggest test of the season, kind of like that litmus test. Like, where do they stand at this point of the season against a team with real talent like the New Jersey Freedom team has? This Freedom team, very established, obviously the players that we do expect to see, but the offense of the Tyrants is just so explosive, especially behind Mather, Langlois, and then their action through the middle of the court as well. It's going to be a great match. I expect it to go the distance, and it should be a lot of fun to watch.
Really could be a battle of, in the middle, how much Seifert and Tom Burrell, the 2 of the 3 middles they have this weekend, are able to close it down. One thing about New Jersey, they are light on the outside. They do not have a backup in that role. So we'll see if that goes into the equation at all. All right, our last match of the day. Maybe this is our 1A of the day. And earlier in the year, wouldn't have thought so. It's the Inland Empire Matadors. Which version of them are we going to get as they take on the OC Stunners? I will not let you talk about your team. That wouldn't be fair. However, we'll let you talk about the Inland Empire Matadors. We saw yesterday they had a golden opportunity to beat the Utah Stingers and just couldn't put them away.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've talked about the Matadors a lot and how they're progressively getting better and better, but they just can't get through the finish line. I mean, they had 3 match points yesterday. They couldn't close it out in set number 4.
24-21.
They've gotten, their team has come together. Their system is developing what they do on offense. Their block and defense are extremely scrappy. But we saw yesterday, if Medina doesn't have a good match, like he didn't have a good match yesterday, they struggle to find that next person to step up.
Yep.
Now they have the talent. They've got the coaching. They've got the system in place. They're very good. They're right there. And they almost had it yesterday. Let's hope they don't find it today against my squad, but they're trending in the right direction, right?
That is some hopeful coaching right there. The Matadors coming in at 2-3 in the year, 6 points. They're in second place in the American Coastal. And I'll say this for the Matadors. It was a coming out party yesterday for Antonio Aguizola, who's been on 3 clubs in 2 years, who's looking for an opportunity. He got his opportunity, and he nearly, with Cesar Medina not being on his A game yesterday, nearly carried them to that win. He had 16 kills in the loss to Utah. Medina did finish with 14 coming on late. But for the OC Stunners, more of the same. They continue to get stronger. 3-1 in the year, 8 points in second place behind New Jersey in a very good National Coastal top of that division. We look at what they've done in the year. That they lost in 1 in 5, I should say, to the Puerto Rico Pythons. Only loss was to New Jersey in 4. Since then, took down Chicago, took down Orlando Southern Exposure, and they've added some young weapons this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we know there's going to be an absence of Matt Hilling on the court this weekend, which is going to mean that Spencer Olivier, one of their new additions, might get a chance to see some court time. They've also added Calvin Sanborn from Long Beach. So some of that Long Beach young talent that we've been talking about all weekend long, maybe getting a chance to play. You'll know for sure. But again, this is one of those teams that as long as I see Nick West, Shane Beamer, some of those guys on the court, that's your veterans that those young guys can look to anchor your team's efforts through them. Also, the libero line, whether it's Shigikawa or it's help me out.
Ding.
Yeah, Ding. Then it's just been very steady. And so I think that regardless of kind of those outside pieces, we're seeing a very steady offense. Logan Zodovich been doing a great job this season. So I think that those new guys can kind of slot in and find their way. I think they're going to be okay in a good spot so long as they don't fall to what we saw the Ramblers fall to earlier this season. And that's kind of not giving the respect that's due to that Matadors team.
And Nacho, of course, is back now at center as
right.
well. So
Nacho and Corey Chavers both back with us this weekend.
There you go.
And of course, as Nick mentioned, adding a number, not just one, a number of All-Americans out of Long Beach State. If only their head coach had a connection to the program and was able to, maybe add some of their best players after they graduate. Olivier, Sanborn, Marucci, all.
Yeah, Grant Maroki, and he's not here this weekend though, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
But will be eventually. These are all former All-Americans for Long Beach, and some of them multiple-time All-Americans in Division I. All right, time for our picks of the day. Noah's not here, but he still texts his picks in. That's how you do it these days if you can't be with us in person. He made one questionable pick. We'll talk about that in a second. Here's our standings on the year. Only one match any of us got wrong yesterday. It was me and Nick. We picked against Chicago. We regret that one, as we both took Philadelphia, so we took a ding. Matt is 24-4 on the year. Good morning, JJ Rosa, live on the morning show. Well, Matt is in first place at 24-4, 857. It's a good batting average right there you got. I am clinging to second place, 3 games back at 21-7, and Nick and Noah are both tied for third at 20-8. First match today, LA Blaze, Utah Stingers. Nick, you're up first.
I think this is one that I think Utah has this pretty handily, but the one X factor here for me is whether they can kind of just even out on some of those inconsistencies we saw yesterday. But overall, when I look over there, I think that there's a lot of experience that once they kind of get a little bit of that team synergy, I think they're going to have too much going on that LA Blaze is going to be struggling here.
And I can't agree anymore. I mean, Utah, right, yesterday got actually challenged. Really showed that they have, even with young pieces in place, the ability to overcome some adversity. LA Blaze doesn't have that talent right now to be able to play with the Stinger squad that just added some dangerous weapons. It's Utah for me.
So I think that if LA Blaze is going to get their first victory of the year, this is a golden opportunity for them to do so. I just don't think that they have the mental fortitude to get all the way through. The Stingers might come out of the gates a little slow, but I still think they have more talent. They're going to be able to control the ball on the block and defense side. So for me, I got to take the Stingers.
You see what he did there, folks? That was a teaser. That was a cliffhanger. That was a false finish if you're a wrestling fan. He made us believe he was going to take LA when he had no intentions to. Well done, sir.
I'm just learning from you, Ira.
Yeah, you can have an NIL deal on the side, do some commercials. We Noah also took the Stingers, I believe.
Yes,
Let's check the text from Noah Chess. Did he indeed take them? Oh, he did. But you know who he also took? Ooh, in our next match, Noah took the Puerto Rico Pythons to beat the Chicago Untouchables. Noah Chess, wherever you are in America or the world right now, that's bold. You had your strong Starbucks morning coffee, that's for sure. I can tell you I will not be taking the Puerto Rico Pythons. They don't have the firepower. And Chicago, maybe they're not in that top half of the league yet, but they're trending in that direction. And I'm taking Chicago today. I'm not going to go 0-2 taking Chicago, picking against them this weekend.
I'm going to agree with you. Again, Untouchables, just too physical, right? Yep. Too many weapons on the court. The Pythons, they're right there, but they're just too thin this weekend. And I can't see how they can mitigate the offense of the Untouchables. So it's a win for Chicago on my.
You guys said it all. Chicago's going to take this one.
All right. This third one. So many ways we can go here. Matt, New Jersey, Texas Tyrants. I'll let you know Noah's pick first, and he took the Texas Tyrants.
Yeah.
Who are you going to take, sir?
Well, definitely the marquee matchup for the day, right? I think this is going to be a huge test for both of these teams and could definitely go the distance. I do think that just a lot of explosive, dynamic offensive power for the Tyrants is going to be the difference maker, especially going up against a little undersized blocking of the Freedom this weekend, not having their bigger, more physical outside hitters to block against Tyrants. So for me, it's going to be Tyrants get the victory.
I think the system of Freedom is going to put them in a good spot. That the Tyrants are, they don't practice together as much, so they're playing against a system that I think is going to be enough, and I think the Freedom's going to take this one down.
Nice.
So,
drama.
I had to think.
As the resident New Jersey homer, you would think on paper that I'm going to pick New Jersey, and I do agree with everything that Nick just said, that the Freedom practice together all the time. This is a group that largely has been cohesive for a number of years now. They're very, very well coached, and Carlo Edra, who's one of the finer small college coaches in the country. He's winning his coach in the East Coast in the conference right now. I think losing Ian Cap today and having him out of the serve receive is going to actually be the difference in this match. And I'm going to do something I think I've only done one time in the 2 years we've been doing this morning show. And I'm picking against New Jersey today. I'm taking the Texas Tyrants.
Hey, this is where I make up some ground.
in 4. I'm taking the Texas Tyrants today. And if I'm wrong, this is going to end up as some bulletin board material. I'm aware of this.
You're going to hear about it for a while.
Oh, my God. And by the way, we...
Justin and Carlo will not let you forget this.
And I'll make sure they all know. I'm not going to wait for them to watch
You don't think they're not watching this? They're going to
Like
have
I
this
said.
clip. This is going to be on Instagram before you can finish your Wheaties. Also, by the way, during the match today, take a look at Carlo's new tattoos on his forearm. He is all in NVA. Carlo Edra, head coach in New Jersey. Unfortunately, it'll be Texas today in 4. Last match of the day, the OC Stunners against
Justin's
the
already
Inland
aware.
Empire Matadors. Wow. I guess it's Matt's turn to pick first. We know you're taking OC, so we just move on?
No, I mean, I can't go against my guys, obviously. With the new additions we have, I think that makes our roster stronger, and I'm excited to see what we can do today against the Matadors.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I'm excited to see what Luis Lopez and Antonio Anguizzola, those two guys that really stepped up and kind of made their debut yesterday in the absence of Cesar Medina's pressure. I think they did a lot of good things. Cesar Medina also getting the run back from when he played for this team back in 2019, I believe it was. I should know, we were teammates at the time, but it's been a couple teams, couple victory laps here and there. So, yeah, I'm excited to see those three really come back. And I think that they have the pieces that they can do some damage. But again, Corey Chavers, the high flyer, that guy's hitting balls at the top of the pin. And if we know anything about the Matadors, it is that they lack a little bit of size on the blocking presence. Although they have gotten some more size with Lopez and Anguizzola. But I think that there's still going to be too much firepower from the Stunners.
Yeah, they certainly improved their blocking game yesterday. I don't think that's as much of a factor against them now, but Stunners just too much experience, too much talent, and as you said, a mixture of experience with Chavers and West and Beamer and others, and obviously the youth movement also now going to impact and benefit the OC Stunners. As good as the Matadors have been this year, they still are a bit of a seesaw team. I think the seesaw teeters certainly in the way of the OC Stunners today. So those are our picks today. I should probably mention that Noah Chast also picked the Stunners, so we're all in agreement on that one. First match of the day, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon. 4 matches on tap today. Circle the last 2 on your calendar. Those begin at 3 and 6 Pacific, respectively. You won't want to miss those here live on NVA USA on YouTube, and follow us on Instagram as well for some exclusive content. Another great day of volleyball here from Long Beach, California.